Great. All right. So good evening, everyone. Thanks for making it out. If you can be here with us live, if not, hello to the people watching the recording. My name is Shrey Thaker, and I'm the editor-in-chief of the Stony Brook Young Investigators Review, also known as SBYIR. Today, I'm joined by one of our managing editors, Ria Gandhi, who's going to give some of this presentation with me. Basically, what we're going to do today is have an overview of our club and all the different events and opportunities along with the ways that you can participate in all of these things throughout the semester. And hopefully you can get to meet new people, develop some of your scientific communication and literacy, and overall have a nice experience and get to know about SBYIR a little bit more throughout the semester here. So what are we? We are the premier undergraduate-run scientific journal or scientific publication at Stony Brook. And during this presentation, we're going to cover a few things. For example, who are we in detail? How can you be involved and join the club, the journal that we publish, and the positions that we offer, the events and workshops that we hold throughout the semester, and also if you can join as a general member. We're going to talk a little bit about that and then give you all of our socials so that you could track all of our activity throughout the semester. First and foremost, let's talk about what SBYIR actually is. We heard it called cyber many, many times. The proper pronunciation is SBYIR, but we're not sticklers about that. So the Stony Brook Young Investigators Review, we have three main goals, right? To first provide a platform for students interested in scientific writing, then also to make science accessible to the undergraduate campus, and also to highlight the incredible research that's happening on campus every year and put that into a format where undergraduate students can actually understand. What we do is we publish a biannual publication, one of which looks like this. The inside is fully designed by our layout team, and the quality of the scientific writing is getting better every single semester, and that's one of our biggest goals. So every year we publish 2 of these at the end of each semester, and for the last few editions, we've actually managed to pull together a theme for each of them, which we're going to get into. For fall 2021, we had a collaboration of over 55 people in the club to produce the latest journal, which is The Science of Well-Being. If you'd want a copy of this, just reach out to us through our socials or email or whatever. We have a bunch of them still available for you. And this is one of the proudest things that this club has ever done, because not only did we accommodate so many more people last semester in the club, but also the quality of the journal and the quality of the layout team was phenomenal. So every semester, we always try to get better than we were before, but let me tell you, this one's going to be a hard one to beat, but I think we're up for it. The biggest question that we get from new members or people who are interested in joining SBYIR is, how can I be involved? How can I join the club, right? Because it seems like it's pretty competitive. There's an application process and all this. What we want to do right now is just iron all of that out and make sure that, we're committed to being more open access so that anyone can be involved with SBYIR, whether or not you have the time for an application. So the first question is, do I need any experience to apply, right? The short answer to this is no. So you don't need any formal research or publication experience or writing experience. All we ask is that you're familiar with reading and analyzing scientific peer-reviewed journal articles as you would if you were doing research in like a lab. Know how to draft and organize your thoughts into a clear introduction, body, and conclusion section, and basically have a few writing courses under your belt, basically like Writing 102, which a lot of people I know take as a freshman at Stony Brook. So all of these things are helpful, but by no means are they required for you to get something out of SBYIR during the semester. What I want to do now is go through the organization of how our club is laid out. Now, this looks really complicated, but I'm just going to focus on a few sections, mainly the ones that are open right now for people to apply if they're interested. So the first thing you'll notice is the top section is the staff that contributes to the journal. And the journal is a conglomerate of effort from layout, editorial, and cabinet. These are our 3 branches. Now, layout is responsible for designing everything, editorial is responsible for writing everything, and cabinet is responsible for planning our events and workshops. Out of all of these, we also have writers who are technically part of editorial, but we keep them separate because they refresh every semester instead of every year, like the staff positions. And then a newer addition that we have is the general membership, where you don't have to apply to be a general member. You could just join one of these branches or even hop around if you want, just to gain experience and get understanding of what's going on with each of the branches. And if in the future you like what you see, then you already have an idea of what you're applying and getting into. The ones I want to highlight are the event coordinators that are a part of cabinet, the writers, specifically a type of writer known as the highlight writer, and the general members, because these are the spots that we're actually looking to recruit a lot more people in so that we can get more people involved in the club. So throughout the presentation, just keep an eye out for, in red, I'll say that this is the slide that's describing the position we're recruiting for actively right now. So for spring 2022, just to sum it up, we're recruiting highlight writers, event coordinators, general members, and you can apply by visiting our website, SBYIRreview1r.com/apply. You're going to see this again, so don't worry about it. If you have any questions about how to contact us or how to apply, at the end, we have a slide about our socials and our website and an email. So we'll have all of that information for you at the end of the presentation. The deadline for the secondary application is going to be February 25th. So that's about 4 weeks from now. So you'll have 4 weeks to learn more about the club. You'll get to attend a few meetings if you want to, see if it's really for you. And then you have the chance to apply by the last week of February. Now, what I wanted to do was get into a little bit about our journal and the positions that we offer as a club overall. Our core process for the journal is split into 2 phases. One is editorial, which you see in front of you. So it starts off as a writer proposal, where the writer suggests a topic that's related to one of our themes. And then, as you can see, it goes to the millwork of editorial, and we'll go through a bunch of suggestions, comments, where editors and peer reviewers work with the writer to make improvements for about 3 drafts. And then we get to a final piece that looks like, a regular Google Doc essay. But then the second phase of our process is the layout phase. And layout, this is actually pretty exciting because it takes the white piece of paper into something that's actually really, really cool and it's visually attractive. So as much as we love looking at the final journal, both aspects are equally important. And the process spans the entire semester, about up until the middle of April for spring, which is when we would submit the journal for publication. Now, what I want to do is I want to focus on the writers for a little bit because they are a core component of the club without whom we can't actually write the journal. So I would like to turn it over to Ria now to explain some of the editorial phase of our process.
Thanks, Shrey. So, like Shrey mentioned, writers are very integral to our journal. And typically, there are 6 different types of articles or 6 different types of writers, right? So, you have the highlight pieces, which are just brief summaries of primary research. You have research reviews, which are more so of those longer pieces that Shrey showed you. These typically synthesize multiple aspects of research. There's primary pieces, so that's original student research, which you actually can get published through our journal. Commentary pieces, which are more so argumentative or opinion pieces. And then we also allow the opportunity to do personal interviews or technical interviews with professionals on campus. So like Troy mentioned, we're actually actively recruiting highlight writers for the duration up until February 25th. And so typically when you join SBYIR as a writer, you are very much involved with plenty of other people. So some of the people that you might be involved with are your editors. So if you're a highlight writer, you're going to be working with a copy editor. And if you're a research review writer, then you're working with an associate editor. And so those are the people that are pretty much making those edits on your pieces. You also have a peer reviewer, which basically means that they're going to go through your piece and validate the scientific accuracy. There's also a layout and a graphic editor who essentially help progress it into that layout phase that we mentioned before. And so as you can see, it pretty much forms this triangle around you. And so for this semester, we're actually focusing on the crossroads of science and art as our journal theme. So what this theme involves is pretty much how science and art are related, right? In the past, science and art have very much been distantly related, but as science and everyone is figuring out now, they're a lot closer than we think. So this journal theme is supposed to elucidate on the types of research that actually bring them together. So within editorial, like I mentioned before, there's a couple of different members of staff. So you have your copy editor, who typically work with 2 to 3 writers per semester, 2 to 3 highlight writers specifically. And what they do is that they basically edit the writer's drafts, and in doing so, they check for grammar, organization, things that you might be familiar with when you go through your own pieces. For associate editors, they also work with 2 to 3 writers per semester, but obviously they're working with longer pieces. And as was mentioned before, there's different drafts, right? There's 3 drafts per semester. So they're basically working to get these pieces refined by those deadlines. And these pieces, due to their length, they need more guidance on style, grammar, organization, kind of looking at the overarching idea of the piece. Lastly, we have peer reviewers. So again, they also work with 2 to 3 writers per semester. You guys can probably see the theme here. And they, again, validate the scientific sources that these writers are using and try to make sure that what is being put into the journal and online on our website is accurate, right? We don't want to plagiarize. We don't want to, not correctly inform our audiences on the research.
Thanks, Shreya. So that was the editorial phase, and now I'm going to talk a little bit about the layout aspect of it. Now, layout is something very important because it really fuses the theme that we have going on, the crossroads of art and science, because one of the best ways to communicate science is actually through visuals, and layout does just that. Now, the impression that SBYIR has when someone picks up our journal is going to be made initially by layout. And then as they read deeper into it, then of course, editorial's hard work will shine through as well. So there's a few different positions on layout. The first one is a graphic editor. Now, a graphic editor basically designs graphics, diagrams, or illustrations that help communicate the science that's being explained in one of the pieces. Some of the pieces have very complicated science behind them, and sometimes putting them into an attractive graphic or a clear infographic will help understand what's going on in a visual way, in addition to the text that's being described. So graphics usually have 2 to 3 articles per semester, and they usually work with conjunction with editorial and the writer to make sure that whatever they're drawing is actually conveying the science that's actually being presented in the text. While prior experience is not necessary, it's just strongly preferred because we have a short time between the editorial deadlines and when layout starts. So to learn everything in terms of graphic editors, it can be a little bit challenging in that short time frame. Of course, if you are interested in graphic editor or any of the layout positions, but you don't have any experience in them, that's where general membership comes along and attending workshops where you can gain that attendance, but also the knowledge and skills of how to practice these things when you do really want to apply for one of the layout positions. The second layout position is the layout editor. And this is the position that takes the articles and puts them into the final layout spread for the journal. This includes the colors, the overall design, any graphics that are included, the layout of the physical text and everything like that. So again, prior experience with Adobe InDesign, which is the professional software that we use, is preferred, but it's not required because that is something that you can learn over time with SBYIR. So with the journal kind of out of the way now, what I want to do is shift to this kind of other leg that SBYIR has and has been recently developing the fundamentals for so that we can do this in a more consistent basis. That is the events and the workshops. The events and workshops are something that we've actually tried developing and have for the last few semesters been able to consistently produce. And so this semester, we have a bunch of events already in the works and a bunch of workshops that we're going to start planning. And the different types of events here, Ria can go into them in more detail for examples, but just briefly on this slide, some things that we've done in the past include the Symposium, which is essentially a platform for student researchers who conduct their own work and investigations to have practice presenting their research to a general audience. Now, we have experts in communicating science from the Alan Alda Center who help give feedback on people's scientific communication when it comes to their own work. So this is a great opportunity that we hold at least once a year, if not twice, which is at the end of each semester. Then we have workshops, regularly interspaced, really high skill development focused events that basically are led by our staff, and they specialize the workshop based on their experience with SBYIR and the skills that they've used and developed while part of the club. Finally, we do have events that are just kind of fun filled, really low key and chill, because it's a good, it's just a good opportunity to get to know more people and to connect on a level that's deeper than, the academic pursuit of publishing a journal. So these are the basic types of events that we have, and you're going to see a lot of them throughout the semester if you follow us on our socials at the end. So with Ria, can you just explain some of the previous examples that we've had of workshops?
Yeah, of course. So each branch typically assigns staff members to lead these workshops, right? So from editorial, we've had people present on how to read scientific journals, which is especially relevant for many of us in the STEM field, right? We've also done other workshops within editorial on how to edit the research reviews, how to edit highlights, how to even write these highlights, right? So this might be of interest to you if you're not sure if you want to join on staff or as a writer yet. You might be able to come to these as a general member. For layout, they've done a bunch of workshops on how to create a graphic, which, as you've seen before, are super integral to disseminating science and really helping people understand what's going on in these pieces. Within cabinet, we've done workshops like finding traditional paths to research. So, we've had a panel talk about their own experiences and how they've really gone from maybe not having research at first when they first came to campus, but then they were able to join a lab, and they pretty much just talked about that.
Great. And so one of the big events that we actually had last fall was our symposium. And this included 12 student researchers who presented their work to 3 professors who came as communication experts. And as our keynote speaker, we had Dr. Catherine Monk from Columbia University, who spoke about, because last semester, our theme was the science of well-being, and her talk fits so well into the details of how the pandemic has affected the access of, a whole bunch of things like women in science and women in research. And the whole talk was just really amazing. So we like to invite these really influential lecturers to at least give a talk to some of our members, but also just the undergraduate campus. So this is an opportunity that is recurring, and it's something that we always look forward to every semester, or at least every year. The question is, who actually plans these workshops, events, and the symposium and all that? And that would be the job of the cabinet branch. So while cabinet is not directly involved with the publication of our journal, cabinet is super critical to hosting these events and these workshops. Now, for cabinet, there are 2 main positions, but the general role of a cabinet member is to assist the direction and implementation of scientific events. And basically, it's just promoting our mission beyond the journal so that more undergraduate students can access it. The expected workload for a cabinet is about 2 to 3 hours per week, but it can be in flux depending on if there's an event that week or not. The responsibilities of cabinet, there's 2 positions, like I mentioned. There's the webmaster, and they take care of our website and updating the different editorial pieces that are ready to be published online. And then there are the event coordinators, which we're actually actively recruiting right now with our application that's due on February 25th. And these event coordinators are responsible for planning, running, and just overall hosting the events that we mentioned, the fun-filled science events, the workshops, just overall. So event coordinators, super influential here. You guys reach out to the community and you guys tie together what we do inside the club to the undergraduate community who may not even know that SBYIR is a thing. So you guys kind of help us lead that horizon to making a bigger footprint on campus. So event coordinators, again, we're actively recruiting. Applications are open for event coordinators to February 25th. So now what we want to do is just wrap this up with the idea of general membership. We've brought up the idea of applications multiple times. And while it may seem, daunting that you have to have an application to just join the club, we wanted to make sure we change that to have it more open access and make it accessible for people who are not sure they want to commit through the application yet, but just want to, test the waters right now and get a feel for what SBYIR is all about. So that's why we had introduced this concept of general membership, where you actually don't require applications. And Ria can go into a little bit more detail about general members.
Yeah, so like she said, if you're not sure if you really want to apply to staff, a general member is a great way to really get involved and see what we do, right? So you don't have to apply to be a general member. Any undergraduate student can become one. So although you might not be contributing directly to the publication, you will be learning skills that might help you in the future if that's something that you want to pursue. You'll still be able to attend staff meetings, attend these workshops that we mentioned before, and all the different events, and still be a core member of our club.
Yep, exactly. So general membership, really laid back, really no obligations either. A fantastic opportunity if you just want to try it out and see what SBYIR is all about. So that brings me to the weekly GBMs. This semester, we're going to have them Thursdays at 8 p.m. Starting February 10th, we'll have them in Fray 317. And you should definitely hit up our Instagram if you want to get updates regarding our weekly GBMs. We'll be posting on our stories and we'll make a post for the first one just to make everyone aware. Once you're kind of in there for the first one, then, it's kind of a chain reaction for the rest. So the first one would be really awesome to attend because you'll get to introduce yourself, but also you'll get to see a lot of the members who are also new to the club who applied over winter break. So weekly GBMs, awesome time just to come out and see what we do from a week-to-week basis to get to our end goal of publishing the journal and holding all these big events. So that's it from myself and Ria. I encourage you to email us if you have questions. Follow us on our Instagram for sure. We post like everything, all the events, all the meetings, everything on our Instagram. So at SBYIR at SBYIR on Instagram. That's like the most active social media we have. You can do it on Facebook and also our website, which has information about the club, our previous journals, our staff, and our other highlights that go onto the newsletter and also the website in general. So again, just a quick reminder, come to our GBMs Thursdays at 8 p.m. in Fry 317. Our first one is actually next Thursday, but it's over Zoom. If you follow us on Instagram, we will post a link for that on the Instagram. So if you do want to attend through Zoom next week, that's possible too. One thing I'll mention is that the GBMs in Fry will also be hybrid. So if you can't physically make it there for any reason, because you have a class or something before or after, then you can hop on Zoom and you'll get the GBM experience as well through there. So we're trying to make it as accessible as possible, for basically anyone who wants to be involved. So I encourage you to follow the Instagram. And if you have any questions at this time, then we'll take them now. You feel free to unmute or you could type in the chat as well. If you don't have any questions, then we hope that we'll see you in the future and look forward to seeing you at our first in-person GBM.
Thank you.
No problem. Have a good night.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.